In today's video, I'm going to be discussing how the Dallas Cowboys 8-8 season wasn't Dak Prescott's fault. And if a few things went differently, Dallas would have went into the postseason and they would have won the division. Most likely. I mean, I can't predict the future, but I imagine these few things went differently. It would have put Dallas in better situation to win the games that they lost. And people want to blame those 8 losses purely on Dak. And it's not right. It's not right because that's a naive. It's being naive. It's not looking at the bigger picture. A lot of people, just because it's the quarterback, doesn't mean he gets 100% of the blame. And honestly, this is Dak Prescott haters. Special teams was horrendous. It was horrible. And people don't want to acknowledge that. People just want to pretend special teams never existed. The next thing I believe was a banged up offensive line. And our offensive line, it's good. Don't get me wrong, it's good. Tyron Smith isn't the demigod he once was in 2014. He isn't. He's humanized now. Still plays at an elite level. He's still great. Still the best in the league. One of the best. Key drops from receivers, even Amari. And that did it. A lot of interceptions came off of tipped passes, and there was a lot of key third downs, where the ball was on the money. It's just Randall Cobb, Michael Gallup, Jason Witten just couldn't hold on. And I know, hey, we all love Jason Witten. All of us do. It's the GOAT. Sit down and let's get Blake Jarwin, Dalton Schultz some snaps. Let's get them in here. Let's get these boys ready. Because you shouldn't be playing 97, 98% of the offensive snaps. You're crazy. And I believe another thing that played a part in that horrible 8-8 season was Jason Garrett. I really think so. Because I think Jason Garrett had bad situational play calling. But all that started with special teams. Special teams was the first domino that fell, that started this whole domino effect of just bullshit. Excuse my French, but it's ridiculous. Brett Maher couldn't kick a PAT to save his life, but he can kick 3 60-plus yard field goals in the same season. But yet, when it comes down to a 25-yard field goal, a chip shot, he misses wide left, wide right. It's amazing. It truly amazes me how a kicker can be so inconsistent. And I'm not trashing on the kickers, because that's hard. That position is very difficult. Not only, on your body, but mentally. You got to be mentally strong. I'm not a professional kicker. I don't know what it's like, but compared to his peers, Brett Maher compared to his peers is so inconsistent. Chris Jones is just I'll leave it at that. We needed special teams help long ago, and we were just put in this position where if we were to let Brett Maher go, who was on the market for us? There wasn't really anybody on the market except nobodies. Brett Maher had his true strength was his power, his leg power. Brett Maher went 20 for 30 on field goals before being replaced by Kai Forbath. Now, given Forbath only started way fewer games than Maher, Forbath went 10 for 10. He went 8-8 on field goals longer than 40 yards, compared to Maher, who went 5-13. Yeah, like I said, he played longer, but in consistency. Forbath showed consistency. Forbath was more consistent. And I feel like a lot of coaches and a lot of teams value consistency over leg power. And we finally had our kicker. We had someone on special teams whom we can trust with a single PAT. Let's rewind a little bit. Let's look back at the Jets game last season. We lost 22-20. Brett Maher went 3 for 4 on field goals. That one kick could have given Dallas that advantage to win. It wouldn't. I'm not sitting here saying, yeah, if he would have just made that kick, we won the game because it's 23-22. That's not how this works. That's not how football works. If he would have made that field goal, that would have just put Dallas in a better contention to win the game. That gives them a better advantage than if they were to miss a field goal. It's that simple. Same thing can be said for the Vikings, the Patriots, and arguably the Bills. The Vikings and the Patriots games. If Maher just would have made those, we would have been in better contention to win. Had Brett Maher made both field goals against the Bills, that's 6 points we missed out on. That's 6 points that could have either kept momentum on our side for offense to get something going. But no, inconsistency showed. 1/3 of this team couldn't hold its own. 1/3, because special teams is 1/3 of your team, and they cannot hold up their end. And you just need your special teams to not exactly just carry by, but to hold their own. And we could not hold our own. It was truly just a garbage can on fire. And the sad part is that there's more than one dumpster on fire. There's one more. Actually, there's a few more. Key drops. Key drops from receivers. By so many situational key drops. Let's get it clear, guys. As a receiver, you're not expected to catch everything. Even the great DeAndre Hopkins drops passes. Larry Fitzgerald, very rare, drops passes, but it happens. Randall Cobb just has a horrible problem with dropping catches. Guys, we could have had 3 1,000-yard receivers on this team if Gallup hadn't dropped so many passes. And Michael Gallup contributed, as long as Jason Witten and Amari Cooper. I believe week 4 against the Saints, there was a play where Dak Prescott rolled out the pocket to the left. Tyron Smith just destroyed Davenport. Dak rolls out. There's Cobb running in the end zone on the other side, and he dots him, man. He dots it. As Cobb goes to dive for it, he hits Randall Cobb in the end zone, put a little heat on it, and it just hit his hands. That drop led to a field goal. That could have been 7 points instead of 3. And look how close this Saint game was. Multiple things can be said. Look at Jason Witten. I love Jason Witten. He had that fumble that led to a turnover. We didn't recover that. It's just disappointing, man. There's also, I believe, in that same game, like the fourth quarter, 3rd down, Randall Cobb ran underneath. Dak put some heat on it, man. He could have placed it a little better, but it was catchable, and that killed our drive. And I think it led to a punt, if I remember correctly. Another game of bad drops was the Patriots game, and that was a close game. That was one of Dak's poor performances last season. I will admit that. That New England defense was on lockdown. That Patriots defense was good. Injuries played a part, and injured Amari Cooper. He wasn't at 100%. Stephen Gilmore, tweeted about it as well, about how he's still an elite receiver, and he played against him injured. But Dak Prescott just wasn't there mentally, and you could see it. Many passes were dropped. A lot of them were broken up. New England defense was on clamps that game. They were good. And majority of Randall Cobb and Michael Gallup contributed to a lot of those drops, though, man. And it just sucks because, like I said, we're expecting drops from our receivers. We're expecting that. It's okay. You shouldn't be consistently dropping passes. You shouldn't be consistently having these problems. Given, all right, our receivers coach was garbage. Sanjay Lal was not good. Amari Cooper didn't like him. No one really agreed with his brick techniques. Given, all right, Jerry Rice used bricks, but coaching can't really be said differently for the offensive line. The offensive line had Mark Colombo as offensive lineman coach, which is good. You know what I mean? He was keeping up with the normal routine. The last guy did before him, not bad. but he can't control problems like Xavier Suafilo or Cam Fleming or Brandon Knight even. It was tough, man. That offensive line was bad at times due to injuries as well. Like in the Jets game, we lost both of our tackles. Tyron and Lael were out. And so we had Cam Fleming and Brandon Knight. They held their own. On paper, they gave up one sack, but let's be real here. Dak wasn't having all day in the pocket. That edge was just getting shitted on all game. Not only that though, look at the Packers game. Look at that. We had Tyron. Tyron was gone, so we had Cam Fleming. Lael was there, but even Lael got smacked around. It was ridiculous. Coming off of injury, of course. Yeah, when Xavier Suafilo wasn't getting Dak killed, he was causing penalties with key blocks that led to turnover points. I truly don't understand how this man can hold his own against Aaron Donald, but he can't hold it. He can't hold his own against himself. If you don't believe me, go watch Xavier Suafilo film. Go watch that man. Don't believe me, watch it. He's garbage, man. And Cam Fleming. Cam Fleming was horrible. Injuries also played a part, not only on the offensive line, but on the receivers as well. Amari Cooper was playing injured all year, and it was obvious. Against the Jets, he was like, is this first or second drive? He's out already, right off the bat, because he's hurt, and they played him hurt all year. I might be wrong about this, but I believe he wanted to play. But at some point, you got to sit your players down and go, look, man, yeah, we need you for the next three to 4 games, but we also need you for the next 3 to 4 years. Your impact is great. Amari makes a huge impact on that offense. But instead of just using a crippled Amari, how about we let him rest and have him come back later on, a couple games down, and save his body for the future. And who do we have to blame for that? You called himself. Jason Garrett, our head coach. Poor play calling and key situational moments. It was just garbage. It was shit. And I'm not excusing that French. He was just so predictable on offense, but even in defense. When facing adversity, Garrett just made the most obvious or dumbest calls, and they didn't work. They backfired. For instances against the Jets, 2-point conversion to tie the game, go into overtime. Which, if you're listening, if Maher would have made, that field goal, we probably would have scored maybe sooner. So 2-point conversion. Dak sends Zeke out of the back, sends him out to the far left. He's in an empty formation, so Dak Prescott's by himself in the pocket. Says Hut, Witten goes across the middle underneath, sits on his route, and they just bring the house. New York just brought everybody. And Jamal Adams is right in Prescott's face right as he snaps the ball. It's obvious what was going to happen, man. Like, why don't we have anybody back there helping him? Zeke Elliott was eating all game. 105 yards, a touchdown. Give the man the rock. Give help. They didn't want to acknowledge the blitz. And look what happened. We lost. Especially on defense. The defensive side of it was garbage, but that's for another video. Another good example is against the Minnesota Vikings. Dude, Dak was on fire that game. Minnesota's secondary couldn't stop Dak and our receivers. And we knew going into that game, Minnesota was number 1 against the run. You couldn't run anywhere against the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings were just too good against the run. And Dallas tried it. We tried to run against the Vikings. Where did it get us? It got us nowhere. It got us exactly nowhere. Except when we started airmailing the ball with Dak Prescott, we're converting first downs on first downs? What? We're racking up big yardage? Michael Gallup? Randall Cobb? Okay. So why don't we stick with it? Why don't we stick with it instead of realizing, oh wow, we need to win the game now. How about we just give it to Zeke when that hasn't been working all game? But our strong suit is running the ball with Zeke, so we're just gonna abandon the passing game and run the ball. I think on the last drive of the game, it was a 4th and 2, 4th and 3, something like that, and it was a play where Zeke hits the flats and Michael Kendricks, I believe, was covering him, and Dak was just eyeballing the flat the whole time, and Kendricks was just on Zeke. And he still threw it, and it was deflected, and we lost the game. It's just frustrating because prior to that, I think it was a third down and they ran the ball, got stuffed. They finally go, all right, well, it's fourth down. We have this play. Zeke's going to be open. Dak eyeballed the flat. He looked nowhere else, purely on Zeke. After he was torching that secondary all game, purely just focused on Zeke. I think that play was designed for Zeke. I think Garrett and Kellen went up to the Dak, and they told him he's going to be open, and he wasn't. We lost. You can contribute that a part of Dak too, but I think that was a play calling error. I feel that was, in my opinion, a play calling error. Not only that, Jason Garrett also made Sam Darnold and Mitch Trubisky look like elite quarterbacks. Last time I checked, both them boys were. One was a garbage can waiting to be set on fire. The other one, there's not even a garbage can there. Where is it? It's gone. Dak is not the GOAT. He's not perfect. Dak Prescott has done something that no one done except Tony Romo in recent years, and that's win. Dak Prescott wins. He wins games. The last quarterback we had to win was Tony. And Tony had the helms for a long time. But when Tony went down, we lost. You gonna tell me Matt Castle, Brandon Weeden, Kyle Lorton, you gonna tell me these boys that they were better than Dak because the talent around them was good? No. Dak Prescott wins. Now let's re-sign Dak and let's go win ourselves a Super Bowl. This awful 8-8 season, that's not purely on Dak. A lot of those 8-8 games are just mostly just special teams, banged up O-line, receiver drops, and Bozo McGee just clapping all the time with his garbage play calling. But no fear, my friends. There's hope on the other side. New head coach Mike McCarthy's here. Jason Garrett's gone. The talent's there. Thanks for listening, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to leave your comments down below. Hit that subscribe button, and how about them Cowboys?